This one goes out to Andrew Yang. Good morning. Good morning, comrades. It is Wednesday, the 23rd of June, 2021. Good morning, Peach Bus. That was for the untimely demise of the Andrew Yang campaign for mayor of New York. Dude really did like fall all over himself, and couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. But he has conceded last night. We're going to talk a little bit tonight about the New York, this morning rather, about the New York elections, specifically why they're taking so goddamn long to count. Largely the reason is, you know what, if you're going to have a voting system that is instant runoff voting, or or ranked choice voting and everything like that, it's going to take a little bit longer. So good morning, Gary. But yeah, it's going to be that kind of day. I wanted to show this quick video though before we do any of that. This was adorable. This came through last night, just hot off the presses, hot off the motherfucking presses, folks. Hot off the presses. Here's Sam and me. Look at that. Me and my buddy. Me and my buddy Sam. Look at that. He's like digging in my hair. He's smelling my hair. He's my buddy. That's Sam. So how's everybody else doing today? Good morning, Watermelon Pitbull. How are you today? Good morning. Stayed up a little late last night watching the election returns and hanging out with a couple glasses of wine. So I'm dragging ass a little bit. That's why. But yeah, New York elections going. Well, Tiffany Caban looks like she has shored up her seat. If people remember, she went, was it DA? Yeah, it was DA about 2 years ago, and was extremely close to winning. He's trying to bribe me for something. No, he gets what he wants no matter what. It's not a bribe. He doesn't need to bribe me for anything because he always gets what he wants. But yeah, Tiffany Caban, she walked away with it. She's like the only one that I can see that is among these candidates that has, like, for city council specifically, District 22 in Caban's case, walked away with it. Let's take a look at this article that I had pulled up. Where'd I put it? Jesus. So professional. All right, let's look at this. This is the Daily News local reporting. All right. Eric Adams keeps strong lead in New York City's Democratic mayoral primary, while Bolton in second place. Now, if I'm recalling correctly, Adams was not great, better than Yang, but this is kind of like not a fantastic situation. Yeah, Adams, Maya Wiley are the top two. Pulling on those lead Wednesday in the Democratic race, primary race for mayor. Maya Wiley narrowly holding on in second place over Catherine Garcia. Brooklyn Borough President had 31% of the vote, with roughly 84% of precincts reporting at 8 a.m. Pulling ahead of Wiley. De Blasio administration, a lawyer who had about 22% of the vote. Garcia, the former city sanitation commissioner, was trailing with just under 20%. So there you go. Stop the Twitter vid. Is there sound? Oops. Sorry. Don't want to do that. All right. So Yang's out. That's the big thing. Yang is out. That's hilarious. We'll see more about. I probably should get somebody to come on and talk about DSA endorsed candidates in New York City. But Tiffany Gabon winning is definitely good. I also want to talk about the mayor of Buffalo election, because that was actually sick. That was actually like straight up good fucking news. Because we had India Walton, who came away with an election victory in the city of Buffalo. So I will, for at least a short while, not be talking mad shit about Buffalo. So that's exciting for at least a short term. Let me see. Here's a clip of her last night, right after her victory. Let's take a look. When she was asked the question, this is after she won mayor of Buffalo, do you consider yourself a socialist?
Yourself a socialist? Oh, absolutely.
She fucking Chad yesed it. She fucking absolutely Chad yesed it. Like openly and honestly just said, hell yeah, I'm a socialist.
Yourself a socialist?
Oh, absolutely. The entire intent of this campaign is to draw down power and resources to the ground level and to the hands of the people. And when we think about socialism, we're perfectly fine with socialism for the rich. We will bail out Wall Street and banks and give $1 billion in tax incentives to one of the richest people in the world to build an empty Tesla factory in South Buffalo. And when it comes to providing the resources that working families need to thrive, socialism becomes scary at that point. So I'm very proud to be a democratic socialist. I am proud to have the support of Buffalo.
Proud to be a democratic socialist. Nice.
Socialist. I am proud to have the support of Buffalo DSA and National DSA. I received a call from Congresswoman AOC this evening, and I'm just excited to be a part of this movement that is ushering progressive politics into Buffalo. Being the third poorest mid-sized city in this country, we should be considering how we begin to eradicate concentrated poverty and disadvantage. And democratic socialist leanings are a big step in getting us there.
Hell yeah. And here she is last night when she found out that she won. This is kind of really exciting. This is probably shortly before that video that you just saw.
Major upset overnight, apparently. The lady here joining me.
Okay. Here's another video of India Walton. This is from WGRZ, local news in New York.
Hey, India Walton is apparently the next mayor of Buffalo.
You had a very, very late night. We want to thank you for joining us here early this morning on Daybreak, and congratulations.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
All right, so tell us first, everyone wants to know, what is your first priority if and when you take office here as the next mayor of Buffalo?
Just getting on the ground, talking to community members, block clubs, community leaders about how we're going to do this and what we're going to do together to make sure that we get the best out of Buffalo that we possibly can.
Now it's a Democratic primary, but you also have said over and over you're a Democrat socialist. Explain the difference. What does that mean? And what does that do to your platform in City Hall?
That means that we put people first. That means that we prioritize.
That is a perfect. When they ask you what does it mean to be a Democratic socialist, you say you put people first. 100% right. 100% right.
Is the working class, the marginalized, the often unseen, unheard people over profits, corporations, and developers.
But how do you do that?
You put resources into communities and you engage people right where they are.
You are a mom. You got your GED. You're a nurse. You're a union leader. You're a community activist. You're not a politician, though. What would you say to those who say you don't have the political background, the know-how to become mayor of Buffalo and lead a city of this size?
I think that we are ready for someone that does not have a background in politics. I think that people are tired of the status quo in politics as usual. And what's most exciting is that a normal, everyday person that is just like the rest of us is going to be in leadership, because I understand the challenges that average people face. And that's where we're going. That is how I'm going to lead. We are going to co-govern. We're doing this together. And when I set out to do this in the beginning, I said, I'm taking all of my people with me. And that is exactly what I intend to do.
Now, we keep saying presumed mayor. Now, Mayor Brown has not conceded yet. Have you heard from the mayor?
I've not.
Are you expecting to anytime soon?
I do not.
What are your thoughts about that? About not hearing from him?
It's in keeping with the current theme. There was no acknowledgement of my candidacy. There was no debate. There's been no communication.
So she unseated the sitting mayor of Oakland and just owned his ass. That rules.
Thus far.
Buffalo.
I do look forward to a productive transition. And I know that the type of leader that Mayor Brown is, he will eventually cooperate and lend a hand in that. But I don't expect to have any communication with him outside of that.
So a little shaky right now this morning, but as a socialist, you're not a Democrat, you're not a Republican. How do you intend to unite the city, to work behind you and to work with you to get things done?
I have a history of doing just that. I have a history of speaking truth to power. It's not always so friendly, but I think that I have garnered enough respect from leadership to know that I'm about the business of my people. And that is what we'll continue to do. We're stronger together. And I look forward to working with my partners in community and my partners in government to make progressive and sustainable, lasting change for the people of Buffalo.
We like putting labels and celebrating firsts. You as the first female mayor, presumably, in Buffalo history. What does that mean to you?
It's a big deal. I'm very proud. I am proud to set the example for so many young people who look like me, who just have the desire to serve. And this is proof that you can do whatever you want. You can go wherever you want, and that people like me belong in positions of leadership.
Have you slept yet?
A little bit.
A little bit of sleep. Well, congratulations on what appears to be you breaking
this is great. And who is this person? Who is India Walton? Well, how did she get DSA's endorsement? What is her background? They mentioned that she was, a mom. She got her GED before to get out of high school. She was a nurse and a union leader. Well, there's article that was written about a week ago in the New Republic, which we can go through right now to learn a little bit together about India Walton. This is pretty goddamn exciting, if you ask me. So, India Walton greets me alone at her campaign office. This is by Danielle Clockin. Oh boy, I hate butchering people's names. Danielle T. Clockian, Jalakian. Shit, I am sorry, Danielle. I am so sorry. Either way, India Walton greets me at her campaign office, was actually just a one-desk room in a co-working space, sparsely decorated, but with a few books, stacks of campaign literature, and a whiteboard where people have left each other messages of both practical, "I'll call you in 5," and motivationals. We will win because we can. Wow, that's prophetic, isn't it? A few minutes later, she's guiding me through the streets of downtown Buffalo, New York, like it's her home, which it is. The place where she was born and raised, and where her babies and had her babies and raised them. Cutting through parking lots as she tells me about the city she believes deserves so much more than waiting for an economic development to trickle down, but it never does. Yeah. In the tableau of New York State politics, Buffalo evokes the Buffalo Billion, a markedly top-down economic development deal that has become shorthand for political corruption. Andrew Cuomo's closest friend and aide, Joe Percoco, is currently in federal prison because of his involvement with it. Nice. Classic shit. Walton is running for mayor as a socialist and has faith that it will translate for people. Quote, "We have socialism for Tesla." I don't really love this rhetoric, but I get that it grabs with people. But we have socialism for Tesla, she says, one of the beneficiaries of the Buffalo Billion deal, and rugged individualism for everyone else. I want to flip the paradigm. Yeah. So flipping the paradigm is great. And again, I'm my sort of criticism of we have socialism for the rich and capitalism for everybody else. I mean, that's just capitalism, but if I'm not it's purely a technical nerd thing that bugs me, but it's if it grabs on with people, I'm fine with it. So whatever. Walton speaks about the needs of a city she knows well. She had her first child when she was 14. Her mom wasn't happy about that, so Walton moved out and lived in a home for young mothers just outside Buffalo in Lackawanna, raising a baby born with a painful chronic illness while still a child herself. Oh my gosh. She tried hard to finish high school, only leaving to work when she had her twins at 19. They were born premature and, quote, teeny tiny, she tells me, barely a pound and a half each, and one with a central line in his chest and the other on oxygen. Walton didn't have a car, so she rode the bus through Buffalo with her babies to all those follow-up appointments. Oh my gosh. It's not great in describing what it means. You're right, Watermelon Pickle, that it's not great in terms of describing what it means, but I think we agree on that. But yeah, I'm fine with it from a perspective of if people grab onto the message, it's not technically correct. However, if it works with people, I'm fine with it. You know what I mean? That socialism equals letting you fuck up because we will always be there to bail you out. Yeah. Looking back, she balances gratitude to a health system that saved their lives with clear-eyed remembrance of how that same system was stacked against someone like her. Quote, "I didn't like the way my family was treated when we were in the NICU," she tells me. "I felt dismissed a lot." What the hell? That's just an example of the resources it takes to live a decent life, right? She told me. Of those early days toting the twins and all their medical equipment to repeatedly come up against a medical establishment that category sneered at a poor young black mother. Quote, "And the expectation we have with people to be able to function in a society where they are led to believe their resources are so scarce that they'll never be able to achieve anything." Yeah. So that's part of one of the key things is to make everybody feel so powerless that they'll never be able to make anything better. 100%. That NICU experience was the first stirring of the Walton you'll meet today. She set out to become a nurse herself so that anyone like her who came into that system might have a chance at a different experience than one she had. Nursing's hard work, folks. Like, you're changing bedpans, you're dealing with patients all day. When I went back to work there, she tells me of the hospital where her twins were born. Quote, it was even worse. I mean, people just openly, not only racist, but classist as well, saying disparaging things about some of the families and their means and resources. She soon became active in her union, 1199 SEIU, and learned what it meant to be an organizer, to build power with other people. Yes, yes, this is awesome. Buffalo is blue city. All 9 council members are Democrats, and there hasn't been a Republican mayor since the Dick Van Dyke Show. Since the Dick Van Dyke Show premiered. Deeply entrenched in the New York Democratic machine, which its current mayor, Byron Brown, chaired until 2019. If Walton wins with the primary on June 22nd, a big if. Nope, she won. She ran as a socialist. She ran on the Democrat ballot line, which, like, many people who run as socialists run. She's described herself as a democratic socialist, which is a socialist. It just means that you believe in democracy. Like, the term democratic socialist to me comes across as like saying the same thing twice, but I'm fine with it if it's what again, what sells, what people will consume and be receptive to. I'm fine with, messaging decisions like that. If Walton wins the primary, she already won the primary. She will not merely unseat a 4-term incumbent. She will be the first socialist mayor in a major American city in more than half a century. Oh wow, we're gonna go into some history of socialist mayors. I love it. The last was Frank Zeidler, who served 3 terms as mayor in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, the birthplace of sewer socialism, a specifically municipal and hyper-pragmatic form of socialism focused on how, quote, you could run or plan a city for the working class, according to Gabe Winant, a historian at the University of Chicago. Zeidler came of age in the Great Depression, reading Eugene Debs and seeing a markedly flawed system not so dissimilar from the one giving rise to a new heyday for socialism today, at least among young people whose adult lives have been marked by vast resource inequality. That is to say, people much like India Walton. Man, this is like fitting in perfectly. I do like the shout out to sewer socialism. We need to like kind of do an explainer of that at some point. It sounded friendlier. What sounded friendlier? This article? This article is very friendly. Walton might be a long shot candidate. Nope, she won. But there's palpable excitement around the country for new local leadership, especially as the federal government proves itself to be a place. Yeah, if people hear it, like, and they have a better feeling about it or whatever, like, fine, I don't care. Like, we need to get people on board, and if we are using language that brings people in, I'm here for it. Or at least it doesn't turn people away. I'm here for it. I mean, like, obviously there's some hard lines in terms of like not violating principles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But like, yeah, you need to make sure that like we're bringing people in. Yeah, there's palpable excitement around the country for new local leadership, especially as the federal government proves itself to be a place where broadly popular ideas go to die, right? And I have something on that too. The pandemic cracked something open too. That's part of what pushed Walton to spill a little prematurely to Buffalo News reporter that yes, she was going to run for mayor. Walton believes Buffalo deserves better than it's gotten, but not through billions poured into a company to empty revitalization or a tech hub, but by investing in housing, healthcare, and community. Imagine that. Imagine investing in the community and not in tech sector, into Tesla and Amazon and giving tax breaks to the wealthy. Instead, you take that money and you invest it in people. You invested in social programs. You invested in housing, healthcare, community. These are simple planks, but they anchor the campaign. People seem to get it. But she was in the middle of talking to me about the home being, quote, a place for families, while also dispelling the myth that a family is mom, dad, and kids. When a woman in a minivan stopped traffic to shout her support, "I'm voting for you, India. I got a family too. I see you." Walton smiled and waved and shouted, "Thank you," before picking back up. "A family is me, and all of my friends and my neighbors are my family. And Buffalo is my family," she tells me. That's pretty good. We deserve community and have leadership that is going to be rooted in the values of care and love. I think it's something that's becoming more and more attractive to people because we've been isolated for so long, right? At least that's what she's betting on come Tuesday. God damn. She's like perfect. Like, this is really good. I hope, like, again, elections and electoralism limited. There is a lot of pressure to make sure somebody like India delivers on what she's saying, but like this is like her messaging is spot on. Her background is spot on. Like nurse and union leader, yeah, like came through the system. This seems right. This seems good. The 3 hours I spent with Walton on a Monday afternoon in early June were pretty standard for a campaign profile. I drove in from out of town to meet her, walk around and see Buffalo through her eyes, and capture a day on her campaign. But it was quieter than usual. No handlers, no campaign staff running interference, cutting off or framing her answers. Her campaign is small, lean by both necessity and desire. Its institutional structure and knowledge has been provided by the Working Families Party. Oh boy. A political apparatus with deep roots in New York, with an ideological bent that's left of the state's Democratic Party, though it often works with state's centrists. The party was so enthusiastic about Walton that they not only abandoned Byron Brown for the first time in his lengthy political career, they've effectively run her insurgent campaign. So I got to look into more of that, specifically what's going on with WFP. Brown resembles a lot of Democratic socialists across the state, a slim record of major achievements, but a slow drip of failure when it comes to the values the party is supposed to represent. Yeah, the Democratic Party values. Even before the pandemic, Buffalo's poverty rate was more than twice the national average, with residents on its largely black east side suffering a higher rate of fatal illness and infant mortality. Brown was a target of continued protest over the Buffalo Police Department strike force, which came under investigation by New York Attorney General for brutalizing black and brown Buffalo residents. I think it wasn't in Buffalo where that old guy got like knocked out too. It wasn't. It was a white guy, but it was pretty like kind of a shocking video. So the cops hate her. That's good. His grand plan to revitalize Buffalo's crown jewel of a waterfront was to install a massive Bass Pro Shop, Bass Pro Sports. The company pulled out after 9 years of deliberations, much to the relief of local community activists who came together to make the waterfront the flourishing city attraction it is today. Yeah, how about instead of having a giant Bass Pro Shop at the fucking waterfront, you have like a public park where everybody can go and hang out and just enjoy being on the waterfront? Like, is that so difficult? Jesus Christ. It was what Walton called Brown's inaction during the pandemic that ultimately spurred her to run for office. When neighbors called the community land trust she was running, desperate for help getting food and supplies to people unable to leave their homes, she and her network of activist allies mobilized a massive effort to put together bike deliveries of fresh groceries. Jesus. Walton's platform carries the same vision, a community-directed transformation of various areas of public life. She wants to end police involvement in mental health emergencies, create an unarmed public security detail for quality of life issues, and codify public participation in police union contract negotiations, among other changes to policing. She wants to institute a tenants' bill of rights. Geez, this is tenants' bill of rights. It was an environmental protester, the guy that got wiped out. Yeah, that was wild. Like, he was totally, like, not even looking, if I'm not mistaken, and he fell right down. So, again, this is a defunding the police approach, at least it sounds like. She wants to end police involvement in mental health emergencies, create an unarmed public security detail so you don't have the same problem with, shootings of unarmed people, and codify public participation in police union contract negotiation. That would weaken the police union. If you have public participation in that contract negotiation, you can potentially weaken those unions. That's a pretty smart way to do it. Now, it could backfire, but I think that's an interesting approach. She wants to institute a tenants' bill of rights, protecting renters and offer financial relief to small landlords in exchange for rent forgiveness on a citywide land trust federation, with democratic decision making. And apparently, she ran. It said earlier she ran a city a land trust, which is interesting, a public land trust. On climate, she proposes an Office of Sustainability and task forces for green workforce and zoning policies. Each plan has a set timeline ranging from her first 100 days in office to 6 months and ultimately 4 years. Walton notably plans to be a one-term mayor. The idea is to build infrastructure for socialist policies, not a personal legacy. Interesting. Let's see how that holds up. Because I'm sure not all of the stuff on her plan is going to go perfectly. There's going to be a lot of money coming in to fight against her. She or someone who has a similar program need to have next steps in mind for, if she's going to be a one term, what's after her, essentially. Because the fight doesn't end after you put these popular policies in, obviously. Socialism today is often derided as less than its more blue-collar predecessor because its most vocal proponents are, quote, radicalized, downwardly mobile professionals. Winant of the University of Chicago said, quote, you can't have a socialist movement led by grad students. True! But in reality, the other major block of this movement, I also kind of think you can't have a socialist movement that doesn't at least include a part of that group. But that's, it can't be led by grad students, at least not entirely. Black and Latinx city dwellers who have to deal with with low wage markets, police violence, and environmental racism, from which an increasingly vocal, visible, and powerful, quote, layer of working class people led by teachers and nurses, particularly people of color and often women, is emerging. Yes. This was Walton's path to organizing and then, eventually, to politics. It mirrors the stories of other left politicians like Cori Bush in Missouri, a registered nurse turned activist, and Jamal Bowman in New York, a former public school teacher. So we're getting more and more of these like working class type people who are just showing up and essentially stepping into like official government roles. That's kind of amazing, and it's not an accident. It's because we're having these problems in our society, this widening gap of inequality. This kind of thing is, in a sense, like, it seems like it would be inevitable, but like, how much more is there here? But like, it needs to come together. It needs to like be constructed. It's not going to happen automatically. In Buffalo, Walton is one of the few newcomers to local politics who came out of last year's uprising after the death of George Floyd. Dominique Calhoun led the police accountability protests we attended and is running for city council. Miles Carter was tackled by Buffalo PD while giving a live television interview at a protest. He's now running for sheriff, a tremendously long shot campaign, as Buffalo is a blue dot in a very red county that is unlikely to respond well to the defund message. So sheriff must be like county-wide. There are candidates like them around the country, and the challenges they face are not unusual. Popular policy proposals, but low name recognition, coupled with the attacks not just from Republicans, but from the right within their party that sees any anti-capitalist insurgents as an existential threat. These are underdog campaigns, but they are also efforts to revitalize a robust history. Social democracy forms the foundation of American cities, American transportation, libraries, city colleges. When Frank Ziedler ended his tenure as mayor of Milwaukee, he had overseen a purchase of the city's garbage trucks, sewer socialism, but built new fire stations and roads, and low income and veteran housing. Grown the city to be the 12th largest in the nation. New York City, while it never had a socialist mayor, was shaped by a, quote, robust and ambitious public sector, also a strong ethos and faith in that public sector. Free CUNY tuition, expansion of higher public education, investment in the public health and public hospitals. So this is exciting. Oh, she talks about, okay. I talked to Eric Loomis. Let's see what Loomis has to say. Bye, Ginny. Eric Loomis, University of Rhode Island, pointed to the communitarian aspect of the right's power because they're still going to church. The left needs its own community base. Is the idea. Walton and other huge young socialists across the country are trying to build it. There's no easy answer to rebuilding communitarian structures, but I do think the left has to take that really seriously, Loomis. It's a huge reason why conservatives are winning all these issues. I think he's got a point there. He's got a pretty good point there. So, all right, Buffalo DSA. Nice. Still, there's a mountain to climb. In a recent survey from WFP, Brown led Walton 43-21. This is before. She also earned the rare endorsement from the National Democratic Socialists of America and has had the energetic support of Buffalo DSA. She hopes the pool of people who think they know enough about her grows from there. So DSA support helped make this happen. That's good. So, India Walton. Sewer socialist? Let's see. That seems to be the plan. That seems to be the strategy that she wants to roll out. We'll keep an eye on that. And maybe I can get like an interview with somebody to talk a little bit more about this. I'll reach out. I know I got a couple friends who live up in Buffalo. Also, Bill's Nation, where you at? Bill's Mafia. Where is people? I'm imagining the Buffalo DSA just doing flying elbow drops onto flaming tables in celebration. This is great news. It's great news, folks. You want to see? So while we have a socialist mayor, or at least presumed mayor elect, they said they hadn't had a Republican win an election in over 50 years. Like they said, the article said the Dick Van Dyke Show. The military has been releasing training documents. This is from the Navy, thanks to Ken Klippenstein. The Navy is releasing a training document that says socialists represent terrorist ideology. So is the mayor of Buffalo, the future mayor of Buffalo, a terrorist? This is from The Intercept, Ken Klippenstein. A Navy counterterrorism training document obtained exclusively by The Intercept appears to conflate socialists with terrorists and lists the left-wing ideology along neo-Nazis. Oh, they love to do that, right? This is horseshoe theory in its like most pure form. Horseshoe theory, the left and the right are the same, and the only place that's safe or good is the sweet, sweet middle. Horseshoe theory. A section of the training document subtitled Study Questions includes the following. Anarchists, socialists, and neo-Nazis represent which terrorist ideological category? The correct answer is political terrorists. A military source briefed on the training told me. The document titled Introduction to Terrorism/Terrorist Operations is part of a longer training manual recently disseminated by the Naval Education Training and Command's Navy Tactical Training Center. Wow. NetC's NTTC. The NetC is in conjunction with the Center for Security Forces. These are all like terrifying sounding organizations, by the way. There's like layers and layers of bullshit bureaucracy of doing evil. The training is designed for masters at arms, the Navy's internal police. The police source said, let's look at the document. Introduction to Terrorism, Terrorist Operations. This assignment sheet is designed to assist the student in attaining, knowledge necessary to perform the duties of an assigned anti-terrorism officer. Assigned anti-terrorism officer? Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh my. Which of the basic terrorist organizational functions is characterized by the distributed authority, redundant key functions, and cell structure that allows anonymity of individuals operating throughout the organizational spectrum? Difficult to... All right, here's a quote. It's just ineffective training because whoever is directing the Navy anti-terror curriculum would rather vilify the left than actually protect anything, said a military official who is not authorized to speak publicly, despite the fact that most prominent threat is domestic right-wing terror. Yes! Right-wing terror is like literally who went to the U.S. Capitol and, broke in and all that stuff. There's more right-wing people that do mass shootings in America than anyone else. Like, right-wing terror is actually a dangerous problem in America. But the idea is, hey, look at the left. They're the same. The left and the right, they're the same. Horseshoe theory. They're both bad. When one side literally is, advocating for the murder of everyone but a special, selected by God group, that's ethnically pure or whatever. And on the other side, you have the group that wants universal, health care and universal housing and people to live at a, a decent level. That's the same. Exactly the same. Both the FBI and the DHS have identified white supremacists as the deadliest terror to the United States. Correct. In October 2020, the DHS issued its first annual Homeland Threat Assessment report, stating that white supremacists are exceptionally lethal and, quote, will remain the most persistent and lethal threat in the homeland. In September, FBI Director Christopher Wray, in testimony before the Senate Judiciary Committee, said that white supremacists, quote, have been responsible for the most lethal attacks over the last decade. and they comprise, quote, the biggest chunk of our domestic terrorism portfolio. Asked about the debate over how to respond to domestic terror threat, Kevin Kline, a former FBI assistant, special agent in charge of the Bureau's New Haven field office, agreed that the white supremacist threat was serious, but warned that any response must respect constitutionally protected activity like speech. No matter what we do in responding to the domestic terrorism problem, the Constitution cannot be the casualty. Blah, blah, blah. This is just boilerplate. While the right has been vocal in its concerns about being unfairly targeted for political opinions, media coverage of the Biden administration focus on domestic extremism has paid considerably less attention to what it might mean for movements on the left, including Black Lives Matter and Antifa and the environmental movement. In fact, internal FBI documents reported on 2019 specifically list anarchists and environmental extremists among its counterterrorism priorities. So yeah, this is, I mean, I think Ken's getting a little bit off the path here, but good reporting in general. Good reporting. You know, people leak to Ken. What's up with that? That's pretty cool. Ken gets the documents. Ken gets the documents. All right, folks. All right, folks. Let's move on. We're moving on. We're moving on. Oh, there's WFP. WFP, meet your next Buffalo mayor, India Walton. BFLO. Oh boy. Cringe. Cringe. But like, you know, I say that. Like the Warren people, especially the supporters, aren't like the enemy, of course, but that was pretty cringe. That was pretty cringe. Like, I just don't understand the hero worship, but you know. Why is Jamal Khashoggi trending? Jamal Khashoggi was the guy that was murdered by, like, tortured and murdered by the Saudis in 2018. Breaking news: 4 Saudis who participated in the 2018 killing of journalist Jamal Khashoggi received paramilitary training in the U.S. under a contract approved by the State Department, according to documents. People familiar with the arrangement. Classic U.S. shit. Classic. Bad deal. Should have never been thought of. Remember what Trump said for that?
This day and age, I think we're going to have a lot more of it, especially maybe
Oh
with
boy, that's too
infrastructure,
long.
but other things also. So thank
That's
you
too
all for
long.
being here.
I need to start clipping audio. Yeah, yay for Ken Klippenstein. He's doing great work. Yeah. Imagine for training children's hit squads. Yeah, training hit squads around the globe. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's going to be it for today. We're going to keep it nice and short. Just to the hour today. We're not going to go over like we've been doing a little bit more. But if you want to support this program, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Good Morning Comrade. If you're new here, either on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, hit like, hit subscribe, hit, smash whatever the button is that's going to keep this content coming into your face. And like I said before, patreon.com/Good Morning Comrade. You can be like our supporters, Ty Chitty, Michael H, Dan O, Jonathan H, Timothy C, Dragon Slayer 19, Andy L, Gary W, Rachel K, Kenneth F, and Adam R, Trey M, Watermelon Pickle, and Penelope D. Thank you so much for watching Good Morning Comrade. Twitch, y'all hang tight for a raid. But everybody else, have a great day.